like me better when I'm with you.
Hey guys, Zach with Trendspider here. Going to be doing a complete overview of Trendspider today. Show you guys step by step the trends feature, multi-factor alerts, strategy tester, dynamic alerts, and then we'll go into the nuanced features as well. But first things first, let's start this off. Now, what's going on in the background of every single Trendspider chart when you've got your trends button turned on and your show trends is on most relevant is Trendspider is finding every possible trend it can, scoring those trends, and putting the top 1% scoring trends on your screen. Right, so that's what we're looking at right now. Now, we've got the feature over here, that's your show trends feature. Right now it's on most relevant. We've got these other filters called more lines or all are unfiltered. This is for if you're curious about what lines we're finding but leaving off your screen. So more lines is going to show you that top 1% plus a few other trends that don't violate price as much. So if I wanted to add any one of these lines to the screen, I could by just double clicking and locking that line on the screen. If I go back to most relevant, those other lines disappear. That one we've locked in is on the screen. Same thing for the all or unfiltered version, except this is going to show you every single trend line that we're finding on the chart. So this is what our algorithms are finding, scoring through, and putting the top 1% on the screen here. Now, we want users to stay on most relevant 99% of the time. Only real reason you're going to these other filters is if you're curious about what lines we're finding, but leaving off the chart. Then you've also got your trend preferences over here on the left. So we've got a few different types or trend preferences. You got analysis type, drawing input, and gaps. Right now I'm on analysis type original. Basically going to show you mainly the longer term trends on the chart, and it's going to give you the least amount of trend lines on your screen usually. And that's what we're looking at right now on this particular VIX daily chart. We've also got some other analysis types like enhanced and standard. Enhanced is going to give you the most amount of trend lines on your screen. And as you can see here, it's going to give you those longer term trends as well as those shorter term trends. Now keep in mind, any of these, or with this analysis type, you're really going to have to come in here and choose which trends you want on and off your screen. You can do that quickly by holding down Shift and left clicking on the lines that you think are relevant. Right, so I'm holding down Shift and left clicking, and it's going to take these lines off my screen. Right, or you can right click on any of them and hit remove this trend line. Also, if you get a bunch of these clumped up trends together, you can right click and hit remove all related trends. Right, and that'll take that group off the screen there for you. But notice how we're getting those longer term trends, as well as you can see we're getting this kind of short term channel down on the VIX daily here. Or one quick thing as well, if you delete a trend that you didn't want to delete, you can go ahead and hit restore all, and it'll bring all those trends that you deleted back onto the screen, so you, just in case you clicked on something, you can bring it back. And then you've also got your standard. This is going to be a variation between enhanced and original. As you can see, it's very similar to enhanced, so I recommend it, but it's similar and it also gives you less trend lines to choose from. So in my opinion, it's a little bit better than enhanced. So I recommend standard or original when you're first starting this out. You also have the ability to affect drawing inputs, so you can draw these trends from the wicks or the bodies. Right now I've been drawing them from the wicks. If I change this to bodies, the trends will change a little bit, sometimes more drastically on other charts. On this particular chart, it wasn't drastic at all, only slight changes to the data points. Then you've also got this thing called gaps, respected or ignored. And on the VIX, we don't have too many visible gaps, but on the Facebook we will. So if I go from, right now I'm respecting gaps in price. I'm ignoring gaps in price. If I change this to respect and hit apply, you'll see the trends change a little bit here. So one trend kind of moved up. And as you can see, the reason why, or you can see when we're detecting a gap in price, when this bottom line here changes colors from black to white or from white to black. So you can see this gap up, this bottom line here changes colors. You can see this next gap up, bottom line here changes colors as well. Now the reason why there's a difference between respecting or ignoring gaps is because when price gaps, there's new information in that price, and when we're respecting gap in price, we want to only draw trend lines based on that new information, based on that new price, right? So there's a reason why price gapped up, right? Because the CEO left, there's cost savings or good earnings, or so that's what's happening when we're respecting or ignoring gaps in price. So you've got that option as well. Now we've also got this thing called the Truth and Analysis timestamp. And I'm going to go down to a smaller time frame on some of these others so you can see what I'm talking about here. But on every single chart, it's this. I'm going to remove that for a second. This yellow line on the bottom right-hand corner here. So if you hover over this yellow truth line, it says Truth and Analysis timestamp, August 22nd, 2:35 my time. So what this is saying is that on August 22nd at 2:35, Trendspider drew these trend lines on this chart. So if I zoom in on a smaller time frame here, you're going to notice some of these trends are going to be a little bit off, and that's because we drew them at that point in time, right? 2:35 on October 22nd on the 15-minute chart. So everything to the left of this point in time, Trendspider knew and used to draw all these trend lines on my screen that you're seeing. Now everything to the right of this point in time, Trendspider didn't know and didn't use any of this new price action to draw the trends. So if I wanted Trendspider to take into account all this new price action and draw some new trend lines based on that, I could either hover over that truth line and click refresh and lock, or do a Control R on my keyboard. It's going to take into account that new price action and draw some new trends based on that. So you can see here we're getting now kind of like a wedge forming here on the 15-minute QCOM chart. Now you can also go ahead and add some indicators to the chart. That's going to be right next to your trends. You just select the three dots here, and you'll have a few options, right? We've got 59 on our screen. We're adding a bunch more this week, but you can see the I've already got MACD, stochastics, a few moving averages. If you wanted to add something, you just type it in the top left there, right? Select it. It's going to go ahead and appear at the bottom of your list here. Then you go ahead and hit apply, and it's going to load those indicators into your screen. Now, what you can do with Trendspider that you can't normally do with most other platforms, or you may be able to do it, but it's just harder to do it because it's not as user-friendly and simple, is this multi-timeframe analysis tool. And that's up here in the top left. So if I click on MTFA, it's going to give me this 15-minute inverses option here. Now, right now, this is the weekly. I don't recommend doing that big of a comparison, but we'll do the 15-minute versus 2-hour. So what this is going to do is this is going to overlay a bunch of dotted lines on my screen. And what these dotted lines represent are the long-term trends on top of my short-term price. So the 2-hour trend lines, moving averages, and indicators on top of my 15-minute chart. So the 2-hour indicators are represented by the dotted lines, right? My chart's getting a little busy, so you can just edit it, right? Hold down Shift and left-click on these lines here and just kind of edit some of these lines. But so these two dotted trends here, these are my 2-hour trend lines. These solid trend lines here, these are my 15-minute trend lines, right? These solid moving averages are my 15-minute moving averages. These dotted lines here are my 2-hour moving averages. Same thing for MACD and stochastics. Now you can actually select which time frames indicators you want on and off your screen. So let's say you like the 15-minute chart, but you want the 2-hour time frame indicators only on there, right? You can use this indicators list in the top left to toggle what you decide what you want to see. So let's say I just wanted my 15-minute, my 2-hour EMA 20 on the screen and my 15-minute EMA 9, right? Let's say that was the only two moving averages I wanted, or vice versa, right? Or if I just wanted just the 2-hour moving averages on there. And then same thing for MACD and stochastic, right? What if I didn't want MTFA on my stochastics? I could just take them off, right? So you've got the customization options in the corner of the chart here in the top left, and then the corner of the lower indicators. Now, why do we do this? Well, we do this because long-term trends affect short-term price. So you can see here, even on this QCOM chart on the 15 versus 2-hour, when these 15-minute moving averages break down, these 2-hour moving averages come in and act as areas of support, right? We get a nice bounce, right? And you can see as we're trending up, we get nice bounces off these 2-hour moving averages. Now you can see more recently the trend has changed. We kind of bounced underneath these. They acted as resistance, and now as you can see, as I'm speaking, price is increasing above those 2-hour moving averages. So maybe if I thought if price broke back down below the 2-hour moving averages that we were going to be more bearish on this ticker, well, you could right click one of these moving averages on the screen here and say create an alert at this line. We can watch for a breakthrough, touch, or bounce off that moving average there. You could even set a price sensitivity to it as well, right? And notice how I'm looking for all three. You can look for all three, or just two, or just one, right? So you can do any of these options. You can set that price sensitivity. You can set the confirmation candle up to a 5-minute confirmation candle. So for example, on this alert, we're using the power of 3 different time frames all in one alert. So you've got that 5-minute confirmation candle on the 15-minute price with that 2-hour indicator. So pretty cool stuff. If you wanted to wait more confirmation, you could obviously do that. You could change the alert name, set a description, set how long you want this alert to be active for, right? How many days you want this to how many times you want this to trigger. Create the alert. It's going to be living in our system here in the bottom right. Now, we also have a second alert called a multi-factor alert, and that's up here in the top right. Now, one quick thing before I go to that, another little pro tip here on the system is that you can actually collapse this list here. So you notice how it's kind of getting busy. I can collapse this list and make my chart nice and clean. But back to the alerts, you click on create alert up here, click on multi-factor alert, and this menu pops up. And this is one of the most advanced features on our platform. This allows you to wait for multiple conditions met before an alert is texted or emailed to our phone. And this alert is patent pending, so no other platform has this alert. So, and you can not only look for multiple conditions met, but you can look for multiple conditions met over time. So consecutive conditions met, like 3 green candles and then a crossover, right? Or 4 red candles and then a bearish crossover, right? And then not only that, but different conditions met on different time frames. So let's go ahead and do an example. I want to do an example of an Ema crossover with some other conditions met. So for example, I want an alert when we're on the 15-minute chart here. So when my 15-minute indicator EMA 9 has crossed up on my indicator 15-minute EMA 20, right? Simple crossover alert, nothing too crazy. Now you can also go ahead and add some other conditions to this, like your MACD alert, right? Or stochastic alert, or volume condition, right? Or a candlestick pattern, or price action, 1 green candle, 2 red candles, and then a green candle. Like, really, it's crazy what you can do. So we'll do a MACD condition, fast greater than the slow, and then we'll also do a stochastic condition, K greater than our indicator D here. Now you could also do an RSI condition, right? I'm just doing these. You could do, RSI needs to be above a certain level. We could also make these from other time frames, right? So this can be a 1-hour MACD condition instead of a 15-minute, right? Or we could add another 2-hour MACD condition. And another thing, right? Let me show you how you can do those 3 green candles or something like that. So you would just say, all right, my 15-minute price open needs to be less than my price close. 15-minute close here, right? So a green candle, and then this needs to have happened 1 candle ago. So all these lasts. So you can do this on any of these different indicators, right? So Trendspider is going to specifically look for a 1 green candle 1 candle ago with these other conditions met, right? And we could add another 15-minute green candle as well, right? So I could do another 15-minute needs to be less than price close, right? And we could do this 2 candles ago, right? Or maybe a hammer needs to have formed 5 candles ago. Now be careful. The more conditions you limit yourself to, the less opportunities you have to enter the market. So that being said, we'll just continue on. You've also got the option to look for all the following conditions met or any of the following conditions met. And let's say that this is the alert that we wanted to save for future alerts, right? So we don't have to come in here and keep on saving or recreating this alert every single time. Well, you can click on this 3 dots here, click on Save As Template, and this template manager pops up. So for example, if I want to save this, I'll name this something like Ema Crossover. If you notice here on the left side of my screen, I've got a bunch of different templates here with a bunch of these different hashtags. And these hashtags allow you to go ahead and organize your different templates here. So for example, this has an EMA in it, so I'll say hashtag EMA. This is a bullish alert, so I have to say hashtag bullish. This is a MACD alert, so let's say hashtag MACD, right? Hashtag stochastics, right? Hashtag price or something, because we have those price conditions in there. So I'll go ahead and click save. So now if I went ahead and deleted these conditions for whatever reason, to add them back, just click the three dots, load from our template library, and I can look them up either by the name of the template or by the hashtag. So if I type in hashtag MACD, hashtag stochastics, hashtag price, right? My template appears right here. Select the template. It's going to load those conditions without me having to write them again. Then I could go ahead and set the expiration on this alert, right? How many times you want this to trigger. Create the alert. It's going to be living down here in the bottom right. And you get these alerts by text, by email, and you can access those settings by clicking on your name and going to account settings and going to notifications. And then you also get a blue tab that appears in the top right, and there's a loud beeping noise that appears on your screen. I mean, a loud beeping noise that goes through your computer, and then that blue tab appears on your platform. Now, you don't have to have the platform open to get the alert, right? It's always running on our cloud server, so you'll get this alert no matter what. Now, let's say this is an alert that we wanted to create on a bunch of different tickers. You could do that by just selecting the next ticker you want to create the alert on. Let's say Tesla. Hover over the alert I just made on QCOM. So notice how when I hover over that alert, these four icons to the right of that alert appear. Click on this page icon. It's going to clone the alert the same way I made on QCOM onto Tesla. All I have to do is hit create alert. Notice how my expiration is already set, my times, right? All my conditions are the same. Just hit create alert and you're good to go, right? Go to Google, do the same thing. Hit the clone button, create the alert, and it's good to go. Now, we're going to be adding a feature really soon here called the watch list alert, and you'll be able to say, Trendspider, watch on my entire watch list for these conditions met, right? But for now, the fastest way to clone these alerts is, or create these alerts on a bunch of tickers, is to just select the symbol and then clone the alert. So those are the multi-factor alerts. Now, not only can you go ahead and create these alerts, but we can backtest these alerts to see if they would have made us money in the past. And the strategy tester is up here in the top right. So if I select the strategy tester, we've already got a bunch of conditions in here, but I'm going to delete them so I can show you how I got here. But if you can see here, the way this strategy tester works is the left side of my screen is my entry conditions. The right side of my screen is the exit conditions. And you can backtest anything in our multi-factor alerts except for the multi-timeframe strategies. So for right now, at the moment, you can only backtest single time frame strategies. So you'll see here in a minute when I load up this conditions. So if I went ahead and you can edit one of these alerts by clicking the pencil icon in the corner of the alert here. Now when I click on edit, the alert pops up. Notice we've got a test this strategy button. So we can click on test this strategy as an entry. It's going to load those conditions into the bottom left hand corner of my screen here. So I didn't have to go in there and add them all back again manually. You can also add these conditions by clicking the three dots here and load from your template library as well. Another way to access your template library is also clicking on Tools and going to Template Manager. Your template library will also pop up. You can select the template and then click Send To as an alert, backtest as an entry or an exit, etc. Right? Now, we've uploaded our entry conditions here on the left. Now we've got our exit conditions to deal with on the right. So our exit conditions can be a script, number of candles passed, take profit, stop loss. We'll do a script condition along with these other conditions as well. So I'll do the exact opposite of what I decided to enter on the left here. So I'll say, all right, I need to exit when my 9 has crossed down on my indicator. We'll do crossed down, if I can find it, on my indicator, right? EMA, 20. And then we can add a number of candles passed, right? So if I'm still in the trade 60 candles later, I just want to exit. If I reach more than a 50% profit, I just want to take my gains and run. Now you can say when the candle closes or at a given level. We'll just do at a given level, and then we can do add a stop loss, right? So this is going to exit, right, if we get more than a 5% loss, right? And we can just do at a given level. Notice how all my conditions are daily, and that's because my strategy tester is set to the daily time frame. You can go from the 1 minute up to the monthly. We'll go back to the 15 minutes since we were on the 15-minute chart. Let me wait before I show you guys the results. Then you've got analysis depth. So how far back do you want to test this strategy? The chart itself, which is 300 candles, shallow 2,000, 3,000, or 7,000 candles back. We'll do a 3,000 test. And then the trade by price. So what are we going to theoretically execute these trades at? The open, high, low, close, or any of these averages? I strongly recommend the close, because if you trade on any of these other averages or any of these other markers, it's kind of like going back in time and executing your trade, right? Unless you did like a candle ago on the exit condition, that would be more fair. But now, before I hit this test button, one thing to note about the strategy tester is that we assume perfect execution, right? So no slippage. You entered all your shares at that particular price, right? And it was a perfect trade, and it's a compounding strategy. So we go into the wins. We go into the next trade with the wins or losses of my last trade. So I'll go ahead and hit test, and it'll go ahead and run our strategy tester here. So you can see, and I'm reading this from the bottom left-hand corner of my screen, we analyzed 22 trades across 5 months of Amazon data, 3,000 candles with an average trade return of negative 0.11%. So what this is saying is that over the last 5 months, we traded 22 times, and on average, when we entered into a trade, we could expect to lose 0.11% of our money, right? We've got this performance chart here. So if I maximize this, it gives us 2 lines. White line is the Amazon's performance over the last 5 months. The blue line is our portfolio's performance over the last 2 months, right? You can actually click on positions here in the bottom left, and you can actually see what parts of the run you were catching, right? So you can see we were getting cut out on the big runs here, right? We didn't even enter on this run. Then you can also go ahead and see the tabular data here on the right. So you've got data analyzed 5 months, Amazon 15-minute chart, net profit over the last. This is our portfolio's net profit, or a loss in this case, so negative 2.5. Asset performance, so how Amazon performed over the last 5 months. Beta versus asset. Number of trades, right? 22. How many of those were winners? 36%, or 8 in particular. How many of those were losers? 64%, or 14 in particular. Average win, average loss, giving us that average return there. You've also got this distribution line here, so you can actually see your max trade, your max loss, the average loss with data points to show you where most of these points are appearing on the distribution. And then you can see here, most of our winners were executing down here towards the less than 0.5% range. You've also got this price behavior explorer here on the left. So if I maximize this and I show you guys, it says, and I hover over one of these points on the chart, it says mean percent change after 28 candles is positive 0.68%. This is going to show you guys basically what positions were netting you or averaging you X candles later. So so for the positions that lasted 28 candles or more, they were averaging you around a 0.68% return. Now this is the mean of those positions at that point in time. So if I click on number of positions, you can see we started out with 22. As time goes by, there's about 7 or 8 positions open at this point. But keep in mind, this is the average. So we could have had losing trades as well as we could have bigger loser trades on here as well as bigger gainers as well. So if I add in the min-max range, you can actually see the complete range of these trades. So we had a trade all the way netting us all the way up here at 3%, while we had another trade all the way down here netting us a loss of 1%. Another way to see that is the 25th and 75th percentile. So those were outliers, right? So the 75th is the top of the blue faded, and then the bottom 25th is the bottom of the blue faded line here. You've also got the median change. I recommend using this over mean because you'll see where most of your trades were, right, at that point in time, at that X candles later. So those are the, and then the other last thing about this, you got the random control line. This is going to show you guys what our random bot was showing you. Then you've also got, or I'm sorry, that was a terrible description. The random bot here is basically a bot that buys and sells alongside your strategy. So the this dotted line here shows you a bot that's following the trading along with you and randomly buying and selling. And you want your blue and purple lines to at least beat this white dotted line. Another thing we've got with the strategy tester is you've got this see on chart option. So if you click see on chart, you can actually see on the chart when and where you get an entry and exit and why you would have exited, right? So you can see here number of candles passed, entry, number of candles, exit was because of candles passed, entry, exit script, entry, exit script, right? Now if you noticed here, this little drawing up in the top right hand corner, this is our price behavior explorer overlaid on top of your current open position. So you can see this just overlays that price behavior statistics on the entry. So we measure the past performance of your entries, right? And then we plot the kind of like how the positions performed on that entry point. You can see not too far off, but a little bit off on there, right? So you can see it starts on the entry. You can see how price has behaved compared to the price behavior explorer. And then you've also got the download CSV option. So if you click download CSV, one of these options here, this is going to download an Excel into your computer. You can open that Excel and it's going to show you guys entry date, entry price, exit date, exit price, all those statistics. Keep in mind these arrows will stay on your screen, so to remove them, right click and hit remove all execution marks. Cool thing with the strategy tester as well is you can literally just click on the next ticker you want to backtest. Trendspider will automatically backtest the strategy for you and do the trend analysis all at the same time. All right, I can just down key on my arrow pad and keep going to see if this is a decent strategy or not. All right, so we got a winning strategy on Facebook, not too, didn't beat gold, right? And that's how the strategy tester works. Now we've also got a few other things like your auto fibs heat maps here. So auto fibs are up here in the top left. Going to go ahead and measure the most recent complete move and then plot a Fibonacci retracement on your screen. You can right click any one of these levels and create an alert on them as well. Keep in mind this is also tied into that truth line here. So these fibs update with the truth line. So if I hit Control R, which I'm going to do right now, the fibs will update. So you can see we still are measuring this more complete move. Back here, we're waiting for the next move to complete itself. You've also got the ability to draw your own Fibonacci retracement. So you just hover over draw and click fib sequence and then click 2 points on the chart. You can draw your own fib sequence. You can also double click on this and you can edit the fib levels. You can change the fib levels themselves, add levels, delete levels, change the thickness or thinness of the lines, change the colors, all that stuff. You can edit the text aligns, what time frames you see this on. Right click and you can create an alert on any of these. You've also got the heat maps here. We've got a few different types: horizontal depth trends and volume by price. Horizontal is going to show you areas of consolidation on the chart and then plot it forward on the screen here. So these are like horizontal levels of support and resistance. We've got a blog on these if you're interested. There's also a depth heat map. So bright red. So this is based off of our algorithms. Bright red area above price is like a cloud of resistance. Bright red area below price is like a cloud of support. And then notice how price is moving through the darker areas on the chart here. You've also got your Trance Heat Map. This is also based on our algorithms. This follows the all or unfiltered version of Trendspider. So this follows every single trend line that we're finding on the chart with a red faded line. As these lines intersect, they create these bright red spots on the chart. And what we've come to find is that price tends to respect these brighter red spots on the chart where all these trends are intersecting. And you've also got the volume by price. This just gives you a kind of volume profile of the last 320 candles, so you can see volume profile of the last 320 candles, so you can see where a lot of these trades are executing at and at what price level they're executing at. So not a lot of volume down here in the 1200 range, a lot more in the 1250 range. And you've also got patterns here as well. So if you click the three dots and scroll through our patterns, you can go ahead and select any of these patterns, right? It's going to go hit apply, turn it on. It's going to go ahead and find the mathematical definition of these different candlesticks and then highlight them on your chart. Just hover over it and tell you what it's finding, right? Engulfing bearish, bullish, hammer, etc. You've also got your icons right below the toolbar here. This first icon edits some up and down. You can edit chart settings like up and down colors, chart types, show crosshairs, grid lines, data. You can change linear logarithmic scale, toggle these. You've also got the icons to the right of that. The second icon adds in separation of trading lines. Third icon adds in non-regular trading hours, so you can look at post and pre-market data. Fourth icon adds in highlight breakout detection. So this is just going to highlight on the chart when and where we get a breakup or a breakdown on the trend line. So green circles a breakup, red circles a breakdown, breakup, breakdown, breakup. Then you've got the toggle for logarithmic and linear scale as well. And then we've got that draw function as well. You hover over draw, click on trend line, segment line, whichever one of these you want. Plop it into the chart here, and you can double click, edit the properties, change the colors, and you can change right click and create an alert on anything you draw, right? Except for maybe like a circle, things like that. Some other quick things you've got is you can filter your watch list by percent change, price, and symbol. You can click on the three dots here, edit, create, delete a new watch list. You can click on my watch list here, and this gives you access to the rest of your watch list. And then you've got your alerts living down here in the bottom right. And then you've also got this ability to have multiple workspaces. So you can actually go ahead and click on your name, go to switch workspace. You can also switch your color theme. And let's say that this was my intraday setup, right? But if I go to switch workspace and go to my Workspace Switcher, so when you first start out, you'll have like one workspace here with the ability to add more. But I've already filled out my max workspaces. So if I go to my next workspace, you're going to see a different setup with different indicators, different chart types, different time frames, different platform, different indicators. So this is going to be, and that's an example of an alert. So you can go ahead and have these different layouts. These will any changes made to a layout will be saved. So you don't have to like click a save button to make sure your layout was saved. Once you change it, it will save your workspace. So that is the platform for the most part. We've got some other things I didn't go over, like raindrop charts and some nuanced stuff. But that's a full end-to-end demo. If you guys have any questions, please use this chat with a human here in the bottom right, and we'll get any questions answered for you. And we look forward to hearing from you. My name is Zach, and thanks for hanging out.
We can make a wildfire get away.